Let's Get Dangerous, the newest episode of Ducktales, 2017, the reboot, which I haven't talked about on the show, but I'm really planning on talking about it later, reviewing like the whole show as like a retrospective kinda. Stay tuned. So this is just more of a short final first thoughts on the newest episode, Let's Get Dangerous, which is one of my favorite episodes of the entire show. I loved it. It's probably my second favorite. If I had to choose a specific spot on the episode list, it's gonna be my second favorite, behind Nothing Can Stop Della Duck. But the reason I love this episode is because it's just, I'll get onto that at the final thoughts. But references. This is a modern DuckTales episode, so of course it's references up the wazoo. I can only think of 3 specific ones I could talk about. First is Bonkers from the Bonkers show, appears in this show, which is About Time. So I did a checklist of every Disney Afternoon show, and pretty much all of them have been referenced now, besides Gargoyles for some reason. Maybe it's licensing issues, or I don't know. But yeah, Bonkers is finally referenced. He didn't speak or talk, but he was there, which was nice. The second one is when Goslin and Launchpad try to break into the what's his name, Professor Bulba's lab. They dress up as 2 obscure villains who I forgot the name of. This is not a hardcore Darkwing Duck fan, but here's the pictures of Launchpad and Goslin and the original villains down here. And then the third one is amazing. So here needs a plot. There's Professor Bulba, who is a scientist who made this piece of technology called the Ramrod, which pretty much which is pretty much a dimensional portal. So later, the Scrooge McDuck's boss, who is a vulture, I think, takes Huey, throws him in the portal, and transports them to the 1987 DuckTales, specifically the moment where Scrooge is on the table and he's like, a sea monster ate my ice cream. Here's a recreation of what I thought at that moment and what I said. I apologize for that. That's pretty much, I freaked the frick out. Because one thing I want from the show is a crossover with the 87 show, which this is the closest we'll probably ever get to it. So yeah, and the fact we get to see like the new characters, the new Huey, Dewey, and Louie in the 87 style was So anyway, then there's the characters. There's I just talk about Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Scrooge, who don't do much in this episode, but well, Louie doesn't really do much, but Dewey has his own plot where he's like with Darkwing and Launchpad and trying to help Goslin get her grandpa back, which I'll talk about later. And then there's Huey, who's trying to figure out how the Ramrod works, how it can make something out of nothing. But it turns out it's just dimensional portal, and that's all his subplot is up to. Then there's Launchpad, which is pretty much just Darkwing's dumb sidekick in this episode, which is perfect. I wouldn't ask for anything else. And then there's, of course, I'll save Darkwing for later. Then we have Bulba, Professor Bulba, who is a new character for this show. And at first he's like, oh, he's like a good guy, he's helping them. And then Scrooge and the kids figure out his evil plot. Then he gets disappeared into the dimensional portal. And there's just Bulba just fighting Darkwing and Goslin and the Fearsome Four, Furnace Four, I don't know the name. And Launchpad, and yeah. He's a pretty great villain, one of the I'm not sure if you call it best villains, but pretty good villain. The fact we get another Darkwing villain's nice, because this is now the third one that appears, second one. Well, it depends if you count the Megavolt from the movie as a Darkwing villain or not. So anyway, then there's the Fearsome Four, which has Megavolt, the water guy, Crackerjack and Plant Guy. Okay, I think we're done. Anyway, they were just pretty much, I assume they're the same as the original show. They have the same voice actors, and I assume they're written the same, since they're pretty much literally taken from the dimension of the show into the real world, or the Ducktales world. Because in this show, like the Darkwing Duck with TV shows are just an alternate universe. That just ended up on TV somehow. I don't understand that, but whatever. And then there's Darkwing, who is perfect in this episode, where he acts pretty much like he did in The Dark Knight Returns or on Moonvasion or whatever, where he just has a bunch of "I'm the terror that flaps in the night" catchphrases, and a bunch of gadgets, and a supercomputer with a sassy attitude, which is great. So there's the final character I want to talk about, Goslin, who is a new character for this episode, and I assume will return since she's on the official poster. She's probably my favorite character in this episode. She has like this whole backstory where her grandpa worked on the Ramrod, but he disappeared, so Bulba took the credit, and she's trying to figure it out. So it's pretty much like the triplets subplot from the first 2 seasons, where they're trying to find out the mom. It's pretty much just that, except Goslin's only one, and she's trying to find her grandpa, which are parents just not a thing in the show. The only parent I've seen is Doofus Drake's parents, who are pretty much his servant, and Della, who's just a single mother. There's no father mentioned, so that's interesting. So anyway, yeah, Goslin's my favorite character. She's pretty much like a tomboyish. She uses like a crossbow, and her chemistry with Darkwing, Launchpad, and Dewey is amazing. Where Dewey's just like, "Go, Gauze for it," and "Well, Dewey," and she's just confused, like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Hey, wait up!
I don't want to be part of your weird show, alright?
This isn't about my hit show. I know what it's like to search for someone that's missing. And I know what it means to have someone believe you. Let me be your Webby.
Who?
I mean, we'll Dewey it!
Does that mean you'll help?
Let's gauze for it, Goslin!
Please stop.
So that was amazing, and the fact that it pays off later is also great.
Dewey! Let's, gauze for it!
She's doing it.
And Darkwing's pretty much acting like a father figure, even though he hasn't exactly adopted her yet. Which, yeah, in the original show he adopted her as his daughter, which I don't think will happen yet in the show. Maybe in a Darkwing spinoff, please. So yeah, final thoughts. I love this episode. It's one of my favorites, as I said. Bring up the list again. So the only thing I would call negative is Della and Donald and Webby and Mrs. Beakler are like not in this episode. I mean, Webby gets a reference, and I think that's about it. Like the triplets and Scrooge said are missing on the news, but we don't know what happens. What Della thinks. Like, wouldn't she be like freaking out? Wouldn't Donald be freaking out? I don't know. So anyway, yeah, that's my short thoughts on Child's Play reboot and Let's Get Dangerous. I promise I'll do full reviews of both of these things and the whole DuckTales show eventually, but for now, that's it. Peace.